Welcome to the 6th episode of the Maddy Mania Podcast. We're talking independent wrestling with one of my good friends, Gaston LaRue. We met at a wrestling show back in 2021 and have been friends ever since. And for the first time, he will be wrestling on WrestleMania weekend, which is next weekend. Oh my God, yeah. And I'll be out there as well, so we'll get to hang out for the first time in a couple years. And this is going to be part 1 of an episode about independent wrestling. In part 2, we'll have more wrestling talk, and I'll probably give my WrestleMania predictions because I feel like people want to know that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoy the chat with me and Gaston, and can't wait until the next one. Welcome to the Maddy Mania Podcast, my friend, an independent wrestler, Gaston LaRue. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, and it's, your pleasure to have me, of course.
My bad. So, first, I wanted to talk about something that's coming up pretty soon, pretty exciting.
Okay.
You have a match in Vegas during WrestleMania weekend, which is just incredible. What does it
Yeah.
mean to you to kind of be performing on one of the biggest weekends in wrestling?
Honestly, it means a lot for your Mozart of professional wrestling because this is my first time doing a WrestleMania weekend. It is on WrestleMania Sunday.
Biggest.
There's a good chance that I will be wrestling and then heading over to Allegiant Stadium myself. So it's gonna be very exciting. And to wrestle on WrestleMania weekend is like a big thing. When you and I met in person for the first time several years ago, I was just helping out at the shows for GCW as a part of the collective. And so this is something I've been striving for a long time. Wasn't even planning to go out there this year. And then Fantastic League of Wrestling decided to only put the greatest on their card. And of course, it was me, the Mozart of professional wrestling. And now I am in a fatal 5-way match, part of this huge show. It's 5 different promotions working together, and to be picked by Fantastic League of Wrestling, which is one of my favorite promotions to work for at the moment. It's great, and I'm super excited for the opportunities that WrestleMania weekend and the clout that WrestleMania weekend prevent.
100%. We're very excited for you. Everybody should be, all the listeners, everybody. So what can fans expect from you specifically on this date at this show? Like, what version of Gaston are you going to bring?
What they can expect is for me to just make the finest music that anyone has ever seen in a professional wrestling ring. What they can expect is brand new professional wrestling gear that I have never worn before. It'll
Ooh.
be great, and it'll be me representing my fellow tragedy boys as well. So I will be sporting our purple and orange, and it'll be great and it'll be spectacular because, especially when it is a big event like this, only I, the Mozart of professional wrestling, can be so spectacular and flamboyant. And so I might as well do that by breaking out some new gear, maybe some new wrestling moves or moves that I don't do too often. And so I have some big plans for that show, and I just plan to show out and make sure that everyone has me on their minds by the time that they leave.
They will. They can't deny Gaston.
No, no one can. I mean, who else wears purple velvet and a bow in their hair? I mean, and can sing as beautifully as I. No one, quite frankly.
Well, that leads me into my next question. For people who are kind of just discovering you, might not be as familiar, how would you describe Gaston LaRue as a wrestler and a character?
I would describe Gaston LaRue as a perfectionist and a musical genius. That's the best way I could describe him, is because what I as a professional wrestler bring is my fanatic mind about the specifics and about the details. And
Yeah.
so I am always looking to up my game, especially as someone who is a very technical wrestler. I want to have a very scientific mind when I am in the ring and when I am working a body part on an opponent and looking to beat the crap out of them. And there is just something very melodic and something very rhythmic about that. And I look to bring that every time I am in the ring. And not only am I conducting the ring itself, but I am conducting the fans. And so if you watch my matches, you'll see me literally conducting the fans because them booing, them cheering, whatever it is, I want them to do exactly what they end up doing because I just know how to conduct them in that way. So that is what you can that is the best way I can describe Gaston LaRue.
You're in for a show, guys. Another question kind of coming off of that. Do you still have your book of wrestling?
I don't have the Ancient Book of Wrestling. I ditched that about a year ago.
Okay.
It was really just holding me back, putting me in this box of, thinking, okay, I have to follow the book, I have to follow the book, and then come to realize I am just my own musical genius who can tell, Kenny Omega on AEW Dynamite last night said, no one can tell a story like me. Well, I beg to differ because I do every single time I am in a professional wrestling ring because I am just exquisite and uh I am all about the details and the specifics in a professional wrestling ring, and not many people are these days, and maybe we'll get into that with one of your later questions.
Yeah, okay. Love that. So every independent wrestler has their own grind story. What's been one of the hardest moments on your journey so far?
I won't get too specific, but one of the hardest moments on my journey so far has just been making hard decisions on where benefits me and what does not benefit me. And there are some great places I have worked that are, even big, like pretty big places that simply were not benefiting me. The biggest important thing in professional wrestling is you want to get somewhere with it, with your career, but also you want to have fun doing it. And if I'm not enjoying what I am doing, then there is no point in me taking part. So there are promotions that just over the past year I decided to step away from, and it
Oh,
has been the best decision that I could have possibly made. But those are definitely the hardest things, is deciphering, okay, where am I welcomed? Where am
mm,
I valued? And those are probably the toughest decisions to make for sure, and the toughest tasks.
yeah, I feel like it's hard because it's like you don't know until you go, and then it's like a learning lesson afterwards. So, kind of going off of that, what keeps you going on those days where, you might be burnt out, tired,
Mm.
exhausted, and the dreams that you're striving for kind of seem far away?
That's interesting, especially because my goals over the last year have changed so much. But what I would say is what keeps me going is honestly just the validation of hearing how absolutely great I am. Like when people just tell me how incredible of a professional wrestler I am, that just really keeps me moving. Like hearing someone come up to me and tell me, "Wow, Gaston, that was a great match. I really love watching you wrestle." It just boosts my ego, up 1,000 notches. And I just feel so validated because some of these people, don't understand me and they want to, boo me. And I put out an Instagram post the other day that just said, I'm only hated by inbreds. And it's true because I truly am the greatest professional wrestler on the face of the planet. So when people acknowledge my greatness, when people acknowledge just absolutely how fantastic I am, it just really keeps me going.
I only acknowledge Gaston LaRue.
As you should. As you should. No one should be throwing up ones for the tribal chief. They should only be throwing up ones for the one and only Gaston LaRue. That's what they should be doing. That's exactly what they should be doing.
100%. So you mentioned, goals changing over the past couple of years, and you've come pretty far in your career since we last kind of chatted about this. But if you
Wow.
could go back to when you first started training, what would you tell that version of yourself?
I would tell that version of myself, wow. Okay, so candidly, the me that was training was very insecure. I'm gonna
Mm,
completely admit that. The me that was training was very insecure and behind some of my classmates. And would just tell him, A, keep going
mm,
because you're gonna be the greatest professional wrestler on the face of the planet. And B, I would tell him, branch out more sooner.
mm,
Because if I had taken more bookings sooner, if I had taken more time to bet on myself sooner, I would have gotten better quicker.
yeah.
I think that, like, when we met, I, at the time, was confident in my abilities,
Mhm.
but and this was 2021, but, looking back, I was horrible. I was a terrible professional wrestler, straight up.
You were just
And
See, that's why you weren't terrible. You were just still learning.
I was green. I was very green. But I was certainly not that great, but I had not branched out nearly as much as I should have yet. And so that is my biggest piece of advice to myself is branch out a lot sooner because the moment that I did, I started improving a lot more on everything inside, outside of the ring, everything about my wrestling career improved.
That's good advice. Back to the match for a second, this big Mania match. Is it part of a bigger plan for 2026? And what are you kind of trying to build toward right now for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, what I'm trying to build towards is last year was my first year as the Mozart of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
This year is a year and it's already started. The wheels are already in motion. I am getting more and more validation all the time. I've worked for Warrior Pro Wrestling this year. I worked for Black Label Pro again this year. I am on Mania weekend this year. I'm wrestling bigger names that haven't even been announced yet. I'm wrestling better people all the time. I'm wrestling different people all the time, which is very important for me this year. And so this is another one of those moments where it feeds into my goal of 2026 of proving to everyone that I am one of the best wrestlers around because I feel that for far too long I've been overlooked.
Uh-huh.
Genuinely, I feel that some of my work over the last 2 years has been incredible, but now I'm getting the platforms to do that. And that's my whole goal for the rest of the year and it's already starting, for people to just be talking more and more and more about Gaston LaRue and say, Gaston LaRue is so good. He's such a great technical wrestler. I've been having people compare me to Dean Malenko lately.
Mm.
And, Dean Malenko couldn't lace my boots, but Dean Malenko is an incredible professional wrestler. And so I just want more of that this year because the moment that people see my genius, my professional wrestling genius, the better professional wrestling is going to become.
Agreed. It all starts with Gaston. Everybody knows that.
That's right. That's right.
Are there any specific promotions, titles, matches, or opponents that you have your eyes on?
Well, coming up on May 8th, Generation Next Pro Wrestling in Cynthiana, Kentucky is doing a parade of champions where many champions from Kentucky will be arriving at Generation X Pro Wrestling defending their titles, and one of which is Jake Bravado, the Hooligan Championship Wrestling United States champion, and so I have that championship in my sights because
Okay.
let's face it, I mean, no one's better than me, so I'm going to take his title at a promotion he doesn't even work for. And then after the fact, I, of course, have my eyes on the Generation X Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. I also, of course, have my eyes on the Elite Wrestling Alliance Championship, which is currently held by Adrian Alexander. My eyes are on Black Label Pro Gold in general because I love working for Black Label Pro. Just worked for them at the Squared Circle Expo a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic. So at Warrior Wrestling, I'm going to be working with them more this year, so I'm looking for gold there. They just ran the Rheingeist in Cincinnati, Ohio, and 500 plus people packed out the Rheingeist. It was fantastic. So I have gold. I have eyes on the gold all over the place, all over the country, and I am planning to claim a lot of it because as we know, as anyone who knows me, as you know, I love gold and I have held a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, and I've just not had any lately, and so it's about time that I get my due of having some gold back around my waist.
100%. We need 4 belts, LaRue. That's the minimum.
Yeah.
At least 4.
The most I think I had was 6. I think I've had 6. Yeah. Well, 4 again? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect.
Awesome. What is something about the independent wrestling scene that fans don't see and should appreciate more?
Fans don't see and should appreciate more. Honestly, they should appreciate the grind of the travel, honestly. People, obviously bumping in the ring is very hard on us, but something that's even harder on us is the travel because not only do you get yourself beaten and bruised and battered and bloodied, but then you hop in a car for 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to however many hours, and you're all cramped up, and then, you get home, and you're walking like you should have a cane, and that's one of the biggest things that I think these, you know, independent wrestling fans don't quite fully understand.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I'm gonna just throw this out there, that if you go to a professional wrestling show, you should probably be prepared to buy someone's merch because they're human beings. We're all human beings as well, just looking to make a buck. And I understand that money is tight and our economy sucks. But the fact of the matter is that if you're going to an independent wrestling show, be prepared to at least buy a photo. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I autograph all my photos, hand autograph all my photos, $10 a pop, have $10 on you, and just show up and give someone $10 because yeah, we're getting paid by the promotion there, of course, but we all need to eat, we all need gas, we all need all this stuff. So support independent wrestling however you wish, but please don't just buy a ticket. Buy some merchandise.
Are you bringing merch to the Vegas show?
I may have some
Merch!
photos. I may have some photos. I'm working on new merch. I know it's a
Yay.
cardinal. I'm working on new merch. I have a new merch lady I'm talking to. It's in the works. I'll probably have some photos. I do have music note earrings, so
Mm.
that's pretty cool, and charms. So I have some dope stuff still, but no shirts or anything yet, but that'll come soon. I was hoping maybe I would get that for Vegas, but it's not working out.
Okay. No, yeah. Pictures are cool. Charms and earrings. Maybe throw in a few friendship bracelets or something with the charms. I think it'd be
Yeah, I can do that. Throw in some friendship bracelets.
awesome. Okay, next question for you. And it might be this upcoming Mania weekend event, but have you had a moment recently where you felt like, okay, I belong here, I'm him. Sorry, Carmelo,
Mhm.
but that kind of epiphany or realization?
Recently. Yeah. I think that there's just been a couple. As I mentioned, I worked for Warrior Wrestling at the Rheingeist in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was in a Rumble, and I
Mm.
walked out, and 500 plus people were immediately booing me and telling me to shut the F up and calling me a bitch. And it was awesome. It was great. Before I said a word on the microphone, before I stepped into the ring, and then I stepped into the ring, and then I wowed them and dazzled them as I always do.
Of
And I
course.
was in the ring with Crash Jackson. I was in the ring with Lord Crew, and I was in the ring with Dalton McKenzie, who is working with the NWA right now. All three of those dudes are my boys. Shout out to all those dudes. But they're all big, talented dudes from this area. And my 5'7" self went out there with the biggest personality of them all and outshined them because, of course, I did. And then I go and I wrestle Black Label Pro at the Squared Circle Expo, and I have probably match of the night with 4 other guys in a scramble match against, all 4 guys are very talented, very well-known names in the area as well. And then I go to Wrestling Theology Fellowship, and I wrestle Chet Ripley for the United States Championship, and Buff Bagwell's there, and Buff Bagwell is watching my match, and I flex to Buff Bagwell, and Buff Bagwell goes, "So I belong," and then now I'm on WrestleMania weekend, of course. And so how could I not feel like I belong? I'm about to get flown out to Las Vegas, Nevada without having to pay a dime because I'm a star. And it's how could I not feel like I belong? Because I'm having great matches, working great places, and I'm getting the approval of great people.
That's amazing. Who is in your corner right now supporting you throughout your journey?
Man, there are quite a few people to list off. Of course, my tragedy boys, all of them are on my side. They're backing me up. That's why, I wouldn't be where I was or as encouraged as I am without them. So that's why the gear I'm going to wear is going to be my new Tragedy Boys gear, debuting it in Las Vegas. Of course, my Uncle Lash. And then, of course, my beautiful bride. she gets so sick and tired of me being on the road, and she gets so sick and tired of hearing about professional wrestling, but she is so happy for me. When she found out that I was being flown out to Vegas, my first time being flown out somewhere to wrestle,
Yeah.
my first time WrestleMania weekend, my first time in Nevada in general, let alone Las Vegas. Like, she's so happy for me. And I'm so, like, there's so much support there that she is willing to stay home with our kids while I go and fulfill this insane dream of putting on velvet tights and wearing a purple bow in my hair, like wrestling other sweaty men, all because I grew up watching John Cena on my television screen. So it's honestly like that's the biggest support that I could possibly ask for.
Love that for you. Only a couple more, but any new dream matches of yours? And this could be not just opponents, but also like types of matches that you haven't done yet that you want to try.
I really want to do British
Ooh.
rounds matches from like World of Sport. I really want to do those. Technical wrestling is just like my forte.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. And then as far as like dream matches, I think that a lot of mine are like people in AEW probably who do indie some. Like, I try to keep it realistic, but like even MJF has been wrestling on the indies some lately. So,
Yeah.
MJF is up there as a huge dream match for me for sure, as well as, Daniel Garcia. I'd love to wrestle Daniel Garcia. We'd have a crazy technical wrestling match along with Wheeler Yuta as well. Absolutely incredible. But my biggest dream match recently has been one that I tried to make happen because he was here on a tour in Indianapolis recently, and I just was not able to make it happen because other people had him booked up, and he costs a lot of money, rightfully so. Taka Michinoku
Ooh.
is probably my biggest dream match right now. He was just here in Indianapolis. I worked the same Black Label Pro show as him, but Taka Michinoku is someone who really defined the junior heavyweight style in the 1990s, and along with Rey Mysterio, along with Jushin Thunder Liger, which is why I do the Liger Bomb now, I really adapted my style to more of a junior heavyweight style over the past several years, very influenced by WCW cruiserweights and stuff. But Taka Michinoku is someone who has been very influential on my work, and I'm not like I haven't like really mentioned that a lot to
Yeah.
anyone, but Taka Michinoku is incredible. Like one of the best professional wrestlers out there. He's a smaller guy, but you just know he's tough as nails. Like
Yeah.
you just know that he is just so tough. And all these years later, he is just one of the baddest, like toughest dudes you've ever seen. He wrestled Kevin Koo in Indianapolis, Indiana, and beat the crap out of him. He wrestled Josh Crane, one of the toughest dudes out there, beat the crap out of him. Like, incredible professional wrestler. And he makes it look so effortless. And I would just love to get in there with Taka-san and have an incredible professional wrestling match.
That'd be so fire. Well, you're speaking it, we're manifesting it, it's gonna happen. We'll
Yeah.
get it done.
Oh, yeah. I think it will. I genuinely believe that it will one of these days, whether it is him coming back to the States or me going to Japan, which is, you mentioned earlier, like what's like part of my goals this year. Part of my goals, maybe not this year, but part of my goal is Japan. I absolutely want to, and that's very realistic with Fantastic League of Wrestling, who I will be representing in Las Vegas. So Japan is a huge goal of mine. So maybe I will wrestle Taka Michinoku in Japan someday. That'd be awesome. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, yeah. Japan wrestling scene is so crazy and
it's
cool.
awesome.
It's on my bucket list to, like, go and watch some matches out there one day for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's on mine too, of course. Japan has just such a reverence for professional wrestling, a reverence that I wish that the Hilljacks and the Inbreds in Cynthiana, Kentucky had. But, like I love the reverence for professional wrestling in Japan. It's so wonderful, and it's something that like I can't wait to experience someday.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And
Right.
then very last question for you. Anything else you'd like to add or mention that we haven't talked about yet?
Tomorrow night I will be wrestling for the Northern Wrestling Federation in Bethel, Ohio.
Okay.
On Saturday, I will be making my Emerge Wrestling tag team debut alongside my good friend Avery Hertz as a part of the Cruiser Greats. And spoiler alert, Our theme music is going to be The Greatest Showman, but a rock cover of it, and it's
My
gonna be
god.
fantastic.
Oh my god.
So, it's gonna be absolutely excellent, wonderful music will be made on April 11th, and yeah, you should follow me on my socials. Instagram is at the Gaston LaRue, X is at Gaston LaRue, and find me on Facebook or whatever as Gaston LaRue, and on,
YouTube.
TikTok. Yeah, YouTube, I'm Gaston LaRue as well. I post 90% of my matches there. Most of my matches are there. So go watch my excellence inside of the professional wrestling ring. Yeah, and we already talked about this, but if you're gonna be in Las Vegas, Second Wrestling is running at noon in Las Vegas. I believe there are 9 matches on the card representing 5 different wrestling promotions. My match is gonna be the best, of course, because I'm in a fatal 5-way with 4 very talented guys, not as talented as me, but very talented guys. You got Paragon, you have Gran Trueno, you have Kid Lat, and you have Ashton Ashura, probably the most diverse match on that show, by the way. You have people of African American descent, you have people of Asian descent, you have people of Latino descent, you have me, who is of Native American descent, so absolutely going to be an incredible match. Be there for that show, and then after we're done, go make your way to WrestleMania if you so desire, or, I don't know, go to a bar and hang out or something.
Do you know what time your exact match is yet? Or like what order in the card or no?
I do not know, unfortunately. I wish, but I don't know. But whatever it is, regardless of placement, we're gonna be the main event, and I can promise you
There you
that.
go. Sweet.